Demon Tweeks Yokohama Classic Stock Hatch Championship has proven in 2018 to be every bit the spectacle that the formula was when it was first conceived. Before these cars, we've got classic status and we've got a three-way title decider going on here at the Snetterton 300 circuit. Matt Rosier here, two-time champion, is on pole. He's got the best view of that first corner. We've got Lee Scott here as well, our current championship points leader. But then another man to watch after his first title in this series is right back here on row 4, Marcus Ward in the other XR2i, 7th position for him. So not the best view going into the first corner and not the best position to be in going into the first race either. But it's all to play for, and a three-way fight in this really exciting series is never a bad thing. I better get myself off the grid, so Andy, over to you.
Yes, it always does tend to be one of the most exciting championship deciders of the year. This year, no different at all. Matt Rosier then and Lee Scott share row 1 with Martin Kayser and Andy Philpotts next. Then Matt Stubbington and Ed Cooper with Marcus Ward. Work to do from row number 4 on the grid. 7th he is. There are 6 points separating the top 3 in the championship. Lee Scott is 3 points ahead of Marcus Ward, who is 3 points in turn ahead of Matt Rosier. But of course, it's Matt and Lee who share the front row of the grid. Marcus Ward having to come from further back. There they are then, as the penultimate round of the Demon Tweeks Yokohama Classic Stock Hatch Championship gets underway. Good start made by Rosier there from pole position. Good start also made on the outside line by Andy Philpotts as they rush down towards turn number 1. Oh no, Matt Stubbington and Marcus Ward. I don't believe it. Marcus Ward is off into the barriers. There was contact there with Matt Stubbington on the run down towards turn number 1, and somehow Ward continues. Rick Groom is around the ridges. It's all kicked off again, and somehow I think Marcus Ward picked his way through that. But what a dramatic start to the weekend's proceedings then, with Marcus Ward second in the championship, clattering the barriers before they even reached turn number 1. The simple fact of the matter is, though, that had he qualified better, he never would have got involved in all of that. So Marcus Ward, that really just goes to show how a bad qualifying performance can have such a knock-on effect. Right then, Lee Scott has got the race lead away from Matt Rosier. That could prove significant should he hang on. There's a lot of racing to do first. There in the background is Marcus Ward. Now, there's a bit of damage to the front right corner, but I don't think it's too bad. He should be able to continue. You can just catch a glimpse there of the red car with the blue stripes in the background. There is car number 6, Pete Morgan, trying to get past Matt Stubbington, who was the man that tangled with Marcus Ward. You can see the ding in the passenger side door there for Stubbington as he turns his way now through Hamilton. He is in 5th place. Pete Morgan in car number 6, appropriately enough, is in 6th position as they turn their way through Oggies. Oh, Ed Cooper there defending hard from car number 28, which then gets a bit of a tap in the tail. That was Daniel Fillingham getting a half spin after some contact there from somebody in behind. I think that might have been the number 26 car possibly. Oh, off onto the grass now has gone Ben Ward. So neither of the Wards having a particularly good start. Ben was avoiding a half spinning car in front of him, which ironically then continued on its way. Side by side for the race lead though, and Matt Rosier is going for it here, trying to get to the outside line. We're on board with Steve Groom further back in the number 91 XR2, who works his way up the inside line, gains a position down towards Brundle and Nelson. I think that was Ed Cooper that he got past. At the front of the field though, it's still Scott that leads the way. Rosier 2nd, 3rd place for Philpotts, 4th is Kayser, 5th for Stubbington, 6th place Rick Groom, and here comes back on the inside line Ed Cooper as the three-wheeling Groom is at the front of what is an XR2 train with the Vauxhall Nova filling. On board with Martin Kayser then, the Martini liveried Fiesta that's running in 4th position. Lee Scott leading the way though, turns his way through Brundle and Nelson. It's so easy to lose the rear of the car through there. These are short wheelbase cars, the rear tyres aren't yet up to full speed, and there is someone that's gone round. That was Fillingham again, I think, wasn't it, that's had a rotation onto the grass. The leaders though have got through safely on the opening lap. They're starting to build some tyre temperature now as they flash past the pit lane once again. And so Lee Scott leading the way, but Rosier looking to the outside line. Now, as things stand, there would be 9 points between them going into the final race. Now, that would not be enough for Matt Rosier to keep the championship alive. He has to beat Lee Scott in this race to have any chance of taking the title, because Lee Scott has been so consistent this year. He's never been out of the top 5. He's dropping, therefore, his 2 drop scores, his 2 worst finishes of the season, are a 5th place finish and a 3rd place finish. So if he were to finish anywhere further back than 5th in either this race or the next, that would become a drop score. It's all a bit complicated. What it basically means in simple terms is that if he keeps Matt Rosier behind him in this race, then he will be champion with a race to spare. That is unless, of course, Marcus Ward can work his way back up the order, which he's trying to. He's alongside Ed Cooper, I notice, in the background, going for 6th position. We'll have to wait and see whether or not he made that one stick. But Marcus Ward, who is only 3 points behind Lee Scott, could still be a championship contender. There is Marcus, he has gone through. So Ward is now in a bit of clean air, and needs to try and close in on this lead group if at all possible. Hamilton they go, on board with Kaiser sliding his way around in fourth. I noticed that Matt Rosier was starting to try and draw alongside Lee Scott as they went into Hamilton, but it was the outside line. He decided that that wasn't necessarily the best move to make. But Rosier, for him it's simple. He needs to beat that white Ford Fiesta in front of him to have any chance of taking the title in the final round of the season. Down the Bentley straight they go. They're just starting to pull away now slightly, I'd say, from Philpotts in third, Stubbington fourth, and then fifth position looks to be Martin Kaiser. Yes, it is. So Kaiser has lost a position there to Stubbington. Stubbington starting to work his way back up the order after that contact that he had on the start line practically with Marcus Ward. We look in the background, there is Marcus, the red and black Fiesta that's just starting to bridge the gap, I'd say, to this leading group of 6. Through the bomb hole, on board with Pete Morgan here in car number 6. Now, he was running 6th, remember, halfway around the opening lap, so something quite clearly has happened to the number 6 machine of Pete Morgan, the Ford Fiesta XR2, as he's dropped down the order ever so slightly. Through the left-hander at Murray as they go. Scott from Rosier from Philpotts, your top 3. We're with Rick Groom now, another one of the XR2s. More and more of these XR2s seem to be finding their way into the Classic Stock Hatch Championship, which is good to see. And some of them pretty competitive as well. Going into 2019, we may well see an XR2 in the championship battle potentially. Through Coram he goes, and he's starting to close here. Goes up the inside of the number 12 car down towards the braking zone. Oh, he's a bit too late on the brakes though. Bails out of it and bang over the curb. And that, unfortunately, I fear, could be the end of the race for Rick Groom, because not only has he lost the places, not only has he bounced over the curb, but that has torn the right rear wheel almost completely off the car. So his race is done, and he'll have to pull off now. Luckily seems to have enough traction from the front wheel drive car to pull off the road and find a safe place to park. Here is Pete Morgan, who is still trying to work his way a bit further up the order here. That's the 39 machine of Martin Rogers that he's trying to overtake. The leaders though head out to Palmer's, down towards Agostini. It was a sort of 5-car train for the lead. It's now sort of 2 for the lead. Scott and Rosie are pulling away slightly, but it is 4 cars most definitely for 3rd place, because Andy Philpotts is still in 3rd, then it's Stubbington, then it's Kaiser, but joining them now is the recovering Marcus Ward. But Marcus likewise really needs to be on the podium at minimum to keep his championship hopes alive, but realistically could do with beating Lee Scott, because he's 3 points behind him as it is, and if that goes up to even sort of 5 or 6, then Lee can then kind of rely on this drop score situation to mean that regardless of what happened in the last race, he would probably still be champion. Oh dear, we're packed with Ben Ward. He's had an entertaining old race, hasn't he? Tried to go around the outside of a big group of cars down into the braking zone at Agostini that time. The 3rd place battle makes its way along the Bentley straight, and Matt Stubbington seems to have pace here, doesn't he? Despite the collision that he had with Ward at the start of the race, he's moving forward steadily. He's in 4th and he's going for 3rd. Looks up the inside line now on Andy Philpotts, and I think he's going to go through on the run in towards Brundle and Nelson. At the head of the field, it's still Scott from Kaiser, and yes, Stubbington is now 3rd, so Matt Stubbington now makes it 2 Peugeots inside the top 3 rather than 2 Fords as it was, and he will go after the leading 2. Matt Rosier, it has been a sort of ever-present danger here for the race lead, but it's been a bit of a cagey race from him. He's not yet really started to build up a significant race lead challenge, but maybe just minding his P's and Q's, biding his time. He's sliding his way down in towards Murray's now, though, and Lee Scott is holding on to the race lead. Rosier a bit closer than he has been though as they come onto the pit straight, so he'll pick up a bit of a toe. These are not the quickest things in a straight line, so any aerodynamic advantage you can get is beneficial. Ben Ward, not for the first time, is rally crossing his way around the circuit. This time he's taken to the grass at Nelson, as we have a challenge for the lead now. Matt Rosier, as I suspected, using the toe to get close enough to maybe get up the inside line. Lee Scott didn't know whether to turn in, he opted not to, and that opens the door through ridges for Rosier. So Rosier's up the inside line now and trying to take away the race lead. If he can do that, it might just be enough to keep the title alive for him. The Peugeot goes up the inside and goes through, so Matt Rosier takes the race lead, but Lee Scott tries to fight back on the exit of the corner. Funnily enough there, I thought that Rosier might have tried to squeeze him over the grass, but he didn't. He left him room, and Scott is back up the inside line through Palmer's now. They turn through the left-hander, wheel to wheel for the race lead, but this is the championship potentially being decided here, because unless Rosier can make this move stick and finish in front of Lee Scott, he may not have much chance of taking the title. He's got to be careful as well though, because Stubbington is there trying to join in the fun. Scott's got the inside line again for Agostini, and I think it's going to go back through. Rosier needs to get back in line if he can, which he does. Stubbington is not able to draw alongside, and in fact Rosier's had a really good exit from the tight left-hander and goes around the outside towards Hamilton corner. Fantastic! Rosier back into the race lead. He's on the grass though, bounces his way back on the road, and Matt Rosier, he's got the inside line for the next turn and is just about able to make the move stick. That was a phenomenal half a lap of racing, and that was exactly what Rosier needed to do to keep his championship hopes alive. Through the right hand of the go at Williams. Can Scott retaliate? Can Rosier pull away? There's also the fastest lap point to think about here, because Matt Stubbington has just taken the fastest lap a little bit further back as he's been chasing these two down. That is worth a bonus point if you can get it. So Matt Rosier, now he's in clean air. Can he pull away and A, make the race victory a bit more secure, but B, maybe get the fastest lap point as well? He throws it into Brundle and Nelson. He is starting to get away here, I'd say, though, from Lee Scott. Oh, we'll have to go back to the calculator now, won't we, try and figure out what this all means for the championship. As things stand, Rosier would take 3 points out of Lee Scott, so they would be just 3 points apart going into the finale, but Scott could potentially lose more ground here. He gets a bit sideways there coming out of the bomb hole. Matt Rosier, though, you can see from the body language of the car, is really pushing on. The car twitches its way through. Oh no, too much, he's off. Off goes Rosier over the curb, he saves it, but he's on the grass again, and Marcus Ward is off in the background as well. Remarkably, 2 of the top 3 in the championship having big moments at exactly the same corner. It costs Ward more dearly, I think. I think Rosier's rejoined in second. No, third. Stubbington's got back through as well. So Lee Scott retakes the race lead. Stubbington second, Rosier down to third, and that hands the championship on a platter now to Lee Scott, because not only is Rosier no longer ahead of him, but Marcus Ward, you can see, has disappeared altogether. Here's what happened. I said that the body language of the car looked like he was pushing. He lost the rear of the car. Big tank slapper ensued. Bounces all 4 wheels off the ground. He was lucky not to damage the car, as we saw happen to Rick Groom earlier on, and it was a tangle between Phil Potts and Ward in the background that sent the latter off the road and even further down the order now. So it looked as though Marcus might have been able to join back in the fun at the front of the field, but as things stand, this would actually provisionally give Marcus Ward the championship unless Matt Rosier can find a way to get back onto terms with him. Through Agostini they go. Stubbington, of course, now inherits second position as well. Now, Matt Stubbington does not care one bit about the championship fight going on around him. He's not even in the top half dozen in the points. So for Matt Stubbington, this is all about ending the season with a couple of race victories if possible. He's definitely got the pace to go for race victories, but does he play the game here and maybe just allow the championship contenders to fight for the championship honours around him? I don't think he will. I think he's going to go for the victory here. For the time being, though, he's got his hands full of trying to keep the similar Peugeot of Matt Rosier at bay. These 205 GTIs that have been very potent machines for years now in the Demon Tweeks Yokohama Classic Stock Hatch Championship. They continue to be very potent weapons, and that's why there are 2 of them on the podium, and 1 of them fighting for a championship. But right now, not doing enough to keep the championship alive. Down toward Brundle and Nelson we go then. Lee Scott leads the way. It is Matt Stubbington in second position, who is really pushing on here. Closes right onto the tail now of Lee Scott as they turn through the corner. Oh, Matt Rosier again. He's flirting with disaster by using these curbs. But Matt Stubbington appears to have pace here to really start challenging Lee Scott. Now, this could yet come back to Matt Rosier. If Stubbington starts getting into it with the race leader, then Lee surely won't want to take too many risks. He won't want to defend this position too heavily and risk getting fired off the road. So does he let Stubbington go, or does he try and keep him behind, knowing that for the time being he is a buffer between himself and his nearest championship rival? There's Ed Cooper. He's 4th in the race and 4th in the championship as well. He's only actually 6 points ahead of that man there, Martin Kayser. So whilst this titanic championship tussle's been going on, that is another significant battle for 4th in the championship. Andy Philpotts is also part of that squabble. Those 3 separated by just 10 points coming into this final round, because Philpotts has now had a bit of damage as a result of that contact with Marcus Ward, I believe. On board with Pete Morgan, we try and catch our breath by checking in with some of the equally frenetic battles a bit further down the order. They just don't have the championship implications that this battle does. With Lee Scott now into the second half of the race, doing everything he needs to potentially, provisionally, subject to final confirmation from the officials, wrap up the championship with a race to spare. Through the left-hander at Palmer, down the hill towards Agostini, and no one really close enough to make a move. Certainly Stubbington's not close enough to make a move against the race leader. What about Rosier, though? He's really on it, locking up the brakes, runs a bit wide as a result into the left-hander. I think he was trying to avoid contact, actually, with the back of Stubbington's car. That is the last thing either of them needs. They head head back down the short chute now towards Hamilton, and you can see the top three spacing themselves out a little bit more. Lee Scott seems to have found his feet again now, with Stubbington busy defending his second position. Then that is taking the heat away from Lee Scott. Oh, Stubbington sideways though through Oggies. I don't think that Rosie is close enough to capitalise, but he will be close enough now to get a really good toe down the Bentley Straight. So Stubbington, who is wide again of the apex there through Williams, runs wide onto the dirt as a result on the exit. Could have to get his elbows out here as we go down the back straight, underneath the bridge and into the braking zone at the S's. You can see that Rosie is trying to weave around in the mirrors of the second place man, trying to distract him, apply the pressure, and maybe force a mistake out of the number 2 car. Onto the brakes they go. Through the left hand, a bit of smoke there coming from the back of Stubbington's car. He's sideways through Brundle, turns in towards Nelson. Oh, he's over the curb, he's sideways again. This could hand Rosier second place. Matt Rosier going for second. He's up the inside line, but I think there is damage to Stubbington's car. There's smoke coming from the back of it. I think there's fluid there as well, because he loses control of the rear of the car, off onto the grass and digs in, and over it goes. And Matt Stubbington's race ends in spectacular fashion. The slightly damp grass here at Snetterton after some overnight rain is just enough for the car to dig in and roll lazily, but I think that was all as a result of fluid on the back tyres. Now, whether that was cause or effect, I don't know, because as he went down the back straight, there was some smoke. Then he hit the curb after a sideways moment, and things got worse and worse from there. That is, though, going to mean the end of the race, because they're throwing the red flag. So what does this mean? Well, it means the results go back a lap, so Lee Scott still wins, but Matt Rosier will inherit second place because they take Matt Stubbington out of the result. He was the cause of the red flag, so he will be second. Marcus Ward, meanwhile, is going to come home in 6th position. Well, here's the replay. You see, the car was already smoking a bit before that moment. Then he hits the curb and it gets even worse. So potentially there was some damage from an earlier incident that was then exacerbated by rattling over the curb. But then he turns into the bomb hole. There's fluid on the rear tyre, and around she goes. You can see the fluid coming out from underneath the front of the car. It's sideways across the grass. It tries a few times to dig in. It finally succeeds, and over it goes. It looks worse than it is, though, that kind of accident. It won't have done all that much damage to the car. We saw Matt Stubbington get out of the car, and he is going to be okay. But Matt Rosier in second position, it's not quite enough. Lee Scott it is who will take the victory and provisionally the championship. Rosier second with Kayser third, then Cooper, Phil Potts and Marcus Ward recovers to 6th position. 7th was Steve Groom, then it was Paul Brock, Pete Morgan and Daniel Fillingham rounding out the top 10. What a race, though. What a dramatic way to start our final weekend here at Snetterton. But provisionally, I do believe we have a champion.
Lee, that was a championship drive, 3-way into the final races here, and you've done it with race 1.
Yeah, I'm a bit sceptical that it's done already because it's so close. I don't think it is, but I mean, that was a fantastic race. I did everything I really needed to do there. You know, it was so close. We swapped positions several times. We had some good side-by-side action, and that really is what you need at the end of the championship for the title. So yeah, everything I dreamed of.
This formula has always been close, and the worry was, as the wings and the bumpers and the bits of bodywork became more expensive as the cars gained classic status, that it wouldn't be as close, and it just has been.
Yeah, it is. It's a truly competitive championship. They're not the fastest cars out there, but they're great fun to drive, and you can see how close it is. It's got to be some of the best racing out there.
Certainly been some of the best racing we've seen this weekend. Congratulations. If that is the championship win, Andy will confirm for us in a minute, but good luck for race 2.
Thank you very much.
Yes, well, the calculator's been well and truly burnt out trying to figure it all out, but I can now confirm that Lee Scott is your 2018 champion. Even if Matt Rosier were to win race 2, Lee Scott would have to finish so far down the order that it would then become one of his drop scores, and he would then re-inherit a better finish from earlier on in the season. So it's all a bit complicated, but Lee Scott is the champion. Matt Rosier and Marcus Ward will now do battle for second place in the championship going into the finale.
Matt, that was about as close as it could possibly have been. You were going wheel to wheel, which is what we love about this series, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did manage to get the lead. We were side by side for about half a lap. Someone just came up to me and said that was the most awesome race they've seen all season, so that was nice. But unfortunately, I messed up quorum and gave Lee the lead back. And the race was cut short because Matt Stubbington went off and rolled on, he had an oil leak.
I'm pleased to say that Matt is okay, but the championship fight, we believe, is over, which means that, well, either way, race 2 is going to be pretty exciting because you guys are going to want to rekindle that, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. I'll go out for the win. Had a poor qualifying, so I'm starting a bit further back on the grid, but I'm going to push through and try and take the win, as always.
Pushing through and taking the win in Classic Stock Hatch is always a good way to start. Good luck.
It's very difficult, but I always have a good go at it. Thank you.
Race 1 here at the final round at Snetterton of the Demon Tweeks Yokohama Classic Stock Hatch Series was sewn up in style with one of the closest finishes and closest, most exciting races the series has seen for a number of years. Lee Scott behind me taking that series win, which came into this round with 3 people capable of taking victory at the final round. It doesn't get much closer than that. So that means we're treated to a gloves off final race showdown, because all of these guys all around here want to take the checkered flag first. Andy, over to you.
Yes, I'm looking forward to this one. There is also the small matter of who's going to finish second in the championship as well, with Matt Rosier just 5 points ahead of Marcus Ward coming into this race. It's Kaiser from Cooper, from Morgan and Stubbington the top 4. Marcus Ward is 5th this time, with Rosier alongside him, so they're going to start right together. Then it's Andy Philpotts. Lee Scott, the champion-elect, is 8th, with Daniel Fillingham and Steve Groom rounding out the top 10. Here we go then, the final round of the season. A fight still alive for second place in the championship. The lights go out. Away we go. It's Cooper and Kaiser on row number 1, and it's Ed Cooper that snatches the advantage from the outside of row number 1. That is the traditional racing line, so there is a theory that it's a bit grippier from a standing start. Marcus Ward, who was in the barriers on the outside down towards turn 1 in race 1, is right on the inside going down towards the first corner. There's more contact. Oh, Martin Kaiser goes around. It's all gone wrong. Oh dear, and a big hit there as well from Paul Brock, I think that was. Also in the kitty litter are several others. Number 91 is one of the cars that are spotted there. That was Steve Groom. There's a car bouncing its way onto the track from the left-hand side of the road, and the red flag flies immediately. Oh dear, that wasn't quite the way we wanted to start that, but that was Marcus Ward trying to go up the inside of everybody down towards Riches, and unfortunately Martin Kaiser was caught up with all of that, and Martin was involved in this great battle between Ed Cooper himself and Andy Philpotts for 4th in the championship. There you see, contact made. There were about 4 abreast turning into the corner. It was never going to work. Pete Morgan was the blue Ford XR2 that was getting caught up in that, and Kaiser gets a real headbutt there from Paul Brock as they go into the gravel trap. Rick Groom appears undamaged, so may be able to take the restart. Another car, that was I think Scott Woodhead, bouncing his way through too. A dramatic start to the race then. The restart about to get underway. Here we go then. Second time lucky here at Snetterton, the final race of the season. It is Ed Cooper on his own now on row 1 because Martin Kaiser is unable to take the restart with a damaged car. The lights go on. They go out now. Away we go. Cooper makes another good getaway. Marcus Ward's battered car is there for the restart as the rest of them flash through and rush back down towards turn number 1. So Ed Cooper in the Nova trying to lead the way, but Matt Rosier is in there too. So too up the inside line is Pete Morgan, and Pete Morgan will try and get the race lead away there as they go through turn number 1. Fingers crossed we get them all through safely this time. I think we might have been a bit more fortunate on the second occasion. Yes, we are. And it is wheel to wheel for the race lead then. Pete Morgan on the inside, Cooper on the outside line. Ed Cooper now looking the man most likely to finish 4th in the championship. Marcus Ward is up the inside again though, and not deterred after his couple of first quarter shunts that he's had now this weekend. He's still pushing on. Morgan though leading the way, I think, as they turn through the left-hander at Palmer's. Yes, he is. So Pete Morgan leads the way from Ed Cooper in 2nd place. Marcus Ward, I think, is still in there somewhere. Yes, he is in 3rd. And ducking and diving around there is Matt Rosier. So Matt Rosier and Marcus Ward fighting for 2nd in the championship, remember. They're fighting for 3rd at the moment on the road. And Rosier going around the outside line. He is the man with the points advantage, but it's a slender one, and Marcus Ward getting his elbows out there. I think they're 3 abreast now somehow because Ed Cooper didn't get a great exit from Agostini. This won't work. Someone's going to have to back out of it. It's Marcus Ward that does back out of it. Rosier doesn't, and goes right round the outside, gets on the grass, bounces his way back on the road, and Cooper comes out of it all still with 2nd place. Then it's Ward in 3rd, and Rosier drops down to 4th, with Lee Scott, the champion-elect, really just trying to keep his nose clean there in 5th position. Through the right-hander they will go now at Williams. That looks as though we've got an outside move being shaped up here by Ward. Oh dear, well that is Brock again, isn't it? That's number 26. Paul Brock, who was involved in the first red flag, has now gone around at Agostini and appears to be dropping a not insignificant amount of fluid on the road. Whether that requires a safety car or another red flag, we'll wait and see. We're 3 abreast again though for 2nd place, because with Ward on the inside and Rosier on the outside, poor old Ed Cooper stuck in the middle, didn't really know where to go then. He's sort of found his groove around the outside line now as Marcus Ward goes for the race lead. Marcus Ward phenomenally on the attack, but can't get up the inside towards the bomb hole. Through the right-hander they will go. They're backing off because we've got a 2nd red flag, and that's not really a huge surprise. You can see the fluid raining down underneath the front of Paul Brock's very wounded Ford Fiesta. So for the 2nd time this afternoon, the season finale, unfortunately, is put on ice. Well, Pete Morgan rolling up to the start line. We hopefully will get a restart here, but they're fast running out of time. As you can see, we're getting towards the end of the day now here, indeed the end of the weekend at Snetterton. And so for the third and final time, we hope we get ready to get this final round of the season started. With Ed Cooper on the pole position, Pete Morgan we're all on board with, gets an even better start. His starts have got better with each attempt that we've had to start this race, and he's up the inside line going for the lead down towards turn number 1, a lead that I think he should be able to get. Ed Cooper on the outside risks getting hung out to dry here. Marcus Ward has gone second, and Matt Rosier going for third. 3 abreast further back, holding my breath that they all get through. Pete Morgan, though it is, that leads the way this time fairly convincingly as they go down towards the Wilson hairpin. Pete Morgan then drops onto the brakes, but Marcus Ward goes up the inside from nowhere. Marcus Ward gets the lead away, so great start this time from Marcus. He's through into the race lead. Pete Morgan in second position. And then Ed Cooper, I think it was, that was still in third, but Ed and Marcus Ward, well, now you see, Marcus Ward is set to take some points out of him, so this is all going to get very interesting in the fight for second in the championship, especially actually since Matt Rosier is third, but may well be able to get onto terms with him if he really pushes on. Down the hill they go into the braking zone. Cooper there defending his 4th position from Lee Scott, who, as I said, really just needs to keep his powder dry. Any contact that could result in penalties post-race could have an effect potentially on his championship, so he just needs to make sure that he finishes this race cleanly and with no major dramas. On board with Pete Morgan, though, who's chasing a sideways Marcus Ward, a corner-cutting Marcus Ward as well. Well, Lee Scott not particularly minding his P's and Q's here, is he? He's trying to go around the outside of Ed Cooper. That is a risky move to make. He'll have the outside line for Williams. Cooper should show him plenty of respect. He's a respectful driver, is Ed Cooper, and the rest of the field know that they can race wheel to wheel with him without too much risk of contact. Andy Philpotts is in there as well, who tangled with Marcus Ward in race number 1, you may remember, when it was all going on down at the final corner. Underneath the bridge they're about to go, as we're side by side for second place, and up the inside of Pete Morgan goes Matt Rosier, so Rosier gets second position away now. But even if Ward were to win the race, Rosier's second position would be enough, theoretically, for him to hang on to second in the championship. Back over the curbs they go. There, making a move at the inside line is Daniel Fillingham, who had a couple of moments in the early stages of race number 1. Had another close moment there with Ed Cooper, but thankfully the pair avoid significant contact. Back through Coram they will go towards the final turn. Matt Rosier now setting off after the race leader. Can he get there? He's all out of shape. That was nearly a repeat of the moment that you could argue cost him the championship, because had he managed to stay ahead of Lee Scott yesterday and not had the moment that he had down at Murray's, then that would have, in theory, been enough to keep the championship alive into the final race. And right now, Rosier is running significantly in front of Lee Scott, that he would have actually outscored him. So that was a really significant mistake that Rosier made there in race number 1. But he is pushing on now and just trying to consolidate this second place in the championship and maybe end the season with a race victory, because he's closed right in now. Marcus Ward on board with Pete Morgan, who's still running in third position. Down towards the Wilson hairpin they go through this very tight right-hander. A good overtaking opportunity, and in the background you noticed that I think that was a move being made by Andy Philpotts to try and take 4th position away. So the likes of Ed Cooper in particular starting to slip down the order now slightly as the race goes on. Through Palmer's. Pete Morgan doing his best to stay with the leading two, but I think they should have the pace to pull away. It is now going to be number 11, Andy Philpotts. 4th, a spin for Daniel Fillingham in the background, I noticed. That's not the first time we've said that this weekend. Daniel Fillingham, unfortunately, he's quick when he's going the right way, but unfortunately the car doesn't go quite as quickly backwards, so he's unfortunately going to slip back down the order once more. Lee Scott gets a better exit from Agostini there than does Andy Philpotts, and so Lee Scott's up the inside in towards Hamilton. Philpotts trying to hang tough around the outside, was never likely to work, and in fact he loses momentum to the extent that Ed Cooper gets up the inside of him down towards Oggies, and again they just avoid contact. But that's very close racing between these three. Lee Scott then goes back into 4th position now, and he'd love to end his season with a podium here. He wasn't convinced after race 1 that he'd won the championship, but I'm sure that even at this stage they may still want to do the final calculations. We know that that they've won the championship, but just to make absolutely sure of it, Lee Scott wants to try and get a really good result here to end the season. Now for the race lead, it is Marcus Ward who is really having to defend now from Matt Rosier in 2nd position. There's the Scott and Philpotts battle working its way through the left at Brundle, through the right at Nelson, hopping over the curbs, just about avoiding running over the curbs on the exit of the corner though. And then back down towards the right-hander at the bomb hole. Through there they go, the short straight then down towards Coram corner. The corner that's caused so much strife all weekend long, because they're short wheelbase front wheel drive cars, so there's not much weight over the rear of the car, and you're braking on a turn. You start braking there through the right at Coram for the left-hander at Murray's, excuse me, and the cars don't really like that change of direction whilst all of the weight is on the nose of the car, so it can really easily unsettle the rear and send cars spinning, as we've seen on multiple occasions this weekend. Well, Marcus Ward and Matt Rosier are going to take this fight right the way down to the line, aren't they, I think, for the race victory. It doesn't really, though, matter which way round they finish. If they're first and second, then whichever way round they finish, that will be enough for Rosier to finish second. It's only really if other cars get between them that Marcus Ward can move up in position in the championship. Of course, Marcus arrived here this weekend second in the championship. He was actually Lee Scott's nearest rival, and he'll be ruining that poor qualifying result now, because while 7th place wasn't disastrous, and certainly in the Classic Stock Hatch Championship we see lots of overtaking, we've seen drivers win from further back than that in the past, but it just meant that he was in the middle of all of that drama at the first corner, and that really was what put paid to Marcus's championship hopes. And hadn't been able to get away with the leaders, it might have been a different story. Now, though, is determined to try and win the final race of the season. He's going about it the right way, but I do think that Rosier looks a bit quicker at this stage. The amount of scrapes that Marcus Ward's car's been in this weekend, I wouldn't be at all surprised if it's not running at quite the fastest pace that it could. At the moment, it's Ed Cooper, actually, in the Vauxhall Nova GSI that has set the fastest lap, so neither of these two are on for a bonus point. And that could have proven significant, particularly if Ward finishes in front of Rosier by a couple of positions. That extra point could come in handy, but at the moment it's Ed Cooper that has it. And Matt Rosier wants this race victory, but isn't going to take too many risks, I don't think, to get it. Because if he goes for a move and it doesn't work, he could very easily end up off the road. He is closing in the slipstream, though, down towards Brundle and Nelson. He pulls to the outside line. Marcus Ward was never going to give him the inside line for the left-hander, but if Rosier goes right round the outside here, he will have the inside for Nelson. Can he do it? Yes, he can. Look at that. Matt Rosier goes through. Fantastic bit of driving, and he gets the car stopped just about for the right-hander. He runs a bit wide, though, so Ward is back up the inside line towards the bomb hole, and just as quickly as he lost the lead, he retakes it at the very next corner. Great respect shown between the two of them there, though, as they dice for the lead through a really very challenging sequence of corners. Through Coram they will go again. That little side-by-side duel has just brought Pete Morgan a bit closer to them as well now in the blue Ford XR2. So it's Rosier who's in a Ford sandwich, but it's the XR2i of Marcus Ward, the slightly newer generation Escort, Fiesta, excuse me, that leads the way. In a straight line, though, it does appear that the Peugeot, with the aid of the slipstream perhaps, is able to close in again along the start-finish line. He'll force Marcus Ward to defend down into the first corner, and as they turn through the right-hander, he's going to have to go in tight. That might mean that he runs a bit wide on the exit. Could give Rosier the opportunity to attack down towards Wilson. No, nothing doing just yet. So still the Ford in front of the Peugeot. But you can see here on board with Pete Morgan, he's really closing in. In fact, he's right with them now as they arrive at Wilson. So the XR2, we've had a win all season long for one of the original XR2s. So this could be a golden opportunity here maybe for Pete Morgan to snatch a victory. Yeah, no, right, we haven't had a victory for an XR2. The XR2Is, of course, have done very well out of this season's proceedings. Indeed, it's an XR2i that looks as though it's going to win the championship in the shape of Lee Scott, but can we get Pete Morgan in the older shape XR2 a race victory here at the end of the season? Well, Marcus Ward is really defending the lead. He's getting a bit ragged now as well, just sliding his way down towards Agostini. So Matt Rosier still can't find a way through, and so he's getting backed up into Pete Morgan in third position. So as these two go at it hammer and tongs, it could change the complexion of the race. Also remember that if Marcus Ward wins the race and Matt Rosier is only third, then in theory they would be tied on points by my reckoning. So for second in the championship, is this maybe a bit of a clever game being played here by Marcus Ward, trying to back up Matt Rosier and force Pete Morgan to go on the attack? Well, maybe, who knows, stranger things have happened. It's certainly a valid tactic if you can make it work. It's frustrating as anything if you're Matt Rosier, because you just want to go as quickly as you can, but I have to say I'm not convinced that's what Marcus Ward is doing. I think that Matt is just applying the pressure really nicely and forcing him to defend, but that is holding the pair of them up. Now through Brundle the left-hander, through Nelson the right-hander they come, and Marcus Ward is just about managing to hang on. It's touch and go as to whether we'll get another lap in here as well, because the time is ticking on. They may get back to the checkered flag at this time, or they may receive the last lap board. Matt Rosier and Pete Morgan, they'd like this race to last just that little bit longer. For Marcus Ward, I'm sure the checkered flag can't come soon enough. Through the final corner he comes. He has just built up a bit of a margin, though, over the second and third place cars now. Perhaps Rosier watching his mirrors and seeing this car starting to arrive on the scene. He's maybe taking his mind off the challenge for the race lead. Down towards the start-finish line they come now. Let's see, is it a checkered flag or is it a last lap board? I can see a flag waving. That is the checkered flag. That is the end of the race and the end of the season. And Marcus Ward, well, he wins the race. It's not quite enough, though, to take second place in the points. Matt Rosier's second place in the race will be enough to hang on by a couple of points. And Pete Morgan gets what I believe is his first podium of the season. A great result for him. Fourth position goes to Lee Scott, the champion. Andy Philpotts 5th, Ed Cooper 6th. Stuart Place came home 7th, with Ryan Clark 8th, Jason Wood 9th, and Matt Stubbington down in 10th with a repaired car after his race 1 antics. We lost quite a few, of course, from the couple of red flags that we had earlier on, but we were treated to some fantastic racing, and long may that continue. This championship really has become a fan favourite over the years, and you can see why, with racing of as high quality as that. It really is terrific entertainment.
Pete, what a race to come in third. It was quite eventful.
Yeah, it got knocked around a bit in the beginning, but it staved, it got going. We've kept it going this weekend, which is not a best track for us, so third's as good as a win for me. Here anyway, yeah, so that's about it really.
Well, on that note, congratulations on the win.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Matt, you did it. Second place in the final race. It's been a good weekend for you.
Yes, yeah, it's been a brilliant weekend. That was a pretty awesome race. A couple of red flags. I'm not quite sure what went wrong behind us, but a lot of very, well, I think we were 4 abreast for quite a few of the first corners.
Yeah, lots of exciting commentary as well during that race. So that's it for 2018, and the Stock Hatch series delivered, didn't it?
Yeah, it's always been a brilliant series to race in, continues being a brilliant series to race in, and we think it will do so for many years to come.
Well done, great finish.
Thank you very much.
Marcus, it just came a little too late. It could have been your first title. You went in 3 into this championship, and you win the final round.
Yeah, I mean, even half an hour ago, 45 minutes, I was basically ready to put the car on the trailer because rear axle's bent, wheels aren't pointing the right way, and I was ready to do a lap, come in, but it seemed to be handling pretty well straight off the start, and then fortunately we had a couple of restarts, but I managed to get a great start every time. And yeah, I was just well chuffed because I genuinely thought that was it for the rest of the season. I was going to be either back in the top 10 or on the trailer, and here we are taking a win. It's amazing, and to take second place as well in the championship, that's brilliant.
Yeah, a bit of a default camber on the rear axle. Maybe that's what it needed all along.
Yeah, maybe I'll leave it like that for now on. I just literally had to shoehorn it out with some big bars and put some washers behind it, and it's faster in a straight line somehow. Maybe that helped, I don't know, but yeah, really good. Well chuffed.
Congratulations, you came here fighting for a championship. You did just that, and I have every hope that you'll be doing it again next season and entertaining us just as much as you guys all have today.
Fingers crossed, we'll see. We've got to try again. I was going to sell the car, but you know, I always say that. But we'll see how it goes. I might be out again next year.
They're always for sale, but a smile like that tells me he's not going to sell it. So another Demon Tweeks Yokohama Classic Stock Hatch series comes to an end, and it still delivers everything it used to deliver right when the Classic wasn't in that name. These cars are a bit more expensive to fix these days, but it doesn't seem to stop them racing door and wing to wing. So that's it. We'll see you all again next season, and more of the same drama, theatre and close racing from this exciting series.